A legitimate top 25 caliber team. Obviously have a lot of experience, a lot of winning experience, which is even probably more important because the environment playing against a Big 12 team won't, won't be a factor in terms of their mindset. They've played against really good teams, have had success in the tournament. I think they should have won the tournament game that they played last year. And they've got really good players. It's obviously always where it starts. I've known Earl for a really long time. He does a great job, and expect it to be a battle.
What's his background? How do you guys?
Earl's from Charleston. He's from South Carolina.
Okay.
And, actually, my first year as an assistant coach at Coastal, he was working for Greg Marshall at Winthrop, and that was kind of a rivalry. Even though they dominated the league, we felt like always the top team always has like 8 rivals. They never feel like they have any.
Yeah.
So Winthrop was our rival. We weren't there. And then he went to Clemson, and I was at South Carolina. So I've known him for a while. We recruited against each other a few times, and now lean on each other a little bit.
How difficult is this then? You're a week into the season with 6 freshmen, and you got to go up against a team that is far more experienced at least.
I mean, I don't know how much difficult it is than last Saturday. Going on and play our first game on the road. Although it wasn't against a team that people think are very good, still these guys have no idea what's going on.
Right.
And so I got to worry about our guys even more so than I can worry about the other team. We practiced our warm up, and I asked the guys what time they're supposed to be here before the game. They have no idea even to get here an hour and a half to get ready and tape. They think you just show up and put your uniform on and somebody throws the ball up and you play. So, all those things. It's part of the process. But I'm excited about the challenge. It's a great opportunity for us to measure ourselves against a really high caliber team, one that'll probably be knocking on the top 25 door all year.
Looks like Chico's starting to come along a little more now.
Yeah. Again, it's a long season, and so like I've said, the last thing I want to do is put him out here and risk him making his injury worse, which means he'll be out longer. I'd rather get him as close to 100%, and especially if it's psychologically. But he's been doing more and more every day, and hopefully he'll practice a little bit more tomorrow. And we'll see Sunday if he feels good enough to go out there.
How'd you feel about Weather's minutes?
I mean, it wasn't really a whole lot to feel. I think it was good that he was able to get out there with I don't want to say without pressure, but with, obviously the game was in hand when he got in. The thing you worry about, because it's not just like he was suspended but played last year. I mean, he hasn't played in a game since March of 2017. So for him to have an opportunity to kind of break the ice a little bit in a game where he was, could maybe throw up an air ball or whatever, miss a dunk. But I knew he was excited, be juiced, and now hopefully the game will be a little bit more settled when he has the next opportunity.
How has he came along in practicing since he's been back? Is he starting to get caught up to speed?
Yeah, he is. He spent a lot of time in the weight room. To get himself ready to play physically, but also in the film room because we do some different things this year. Obviously, he was around the program last year and had a good feel for what we did, but the pieces are different this year as well. So how it works and how it looks is a little bit different. But I give him credit for being mature enough. Because when you're not around, and he wasn't even allowed at practice, not even as an observer, to watch and see what was going on. So he had to find time on his own to get with our video guy and find out what we're doing in practice, to learn the terminology and stuff like that. So he's done a great job of just keeping himself as prepared as he could, considering the circumstances.
You mentioned Wednesday the effort plays that Duncan made, things you've seen in practice, things you saw back when he was in high school. What do you remember about recruiting him?
We really didn't recruit him that long. As you can recall, our recruiting kind of changed a little bit, kind of midway upstream. We had identified him early on. We saw him play in the summertime, and I remember seeing a kid who, first of all, had a high basketball IQ. That's the first thing that jumps out to you, because sometimes you see a kid at that age make a play that you just don't see very often, whether it be he sees a play ahead, he screens a guy who's going to be open on a reversal, or he goes and tips the ball out to a teammate on a rebound. Just little things like that. You're like, wow, this kid's got some pretty good basketball IQ. And then his effort was never a question. for him, it was just a matter of him believing that he was capable of coming to a program like this and having success. And he had a good summer that summer. He was recruited by Iowa State and South Carolina, and but he also had some Ivy League stuff. He was being recruited by Princeton and Harvard too. I mean, so that tells you what type of student and
Right.
kid he probably is. So, but I remember getting to know him and his family and knowing what type of people that they were, that he would have a great work ethic. That's one of the things we try to identify as kids who have great work ethics, who are unselfish, and who want to be coached. And he fit all three.
That's a different type of recruiting battle to be sort of recruiting against the best of the best academically. How do you?
I remember after he visited here, and you always try to figure out, all right, now, because that's all you can do once you get him here, especially for an official visit. Like, that's it. So you want to know when the decision's going to be being
Right.
made. And he was waiting to see if his score was good enough for him to get into one of those. And they were, but he still wanted to be able to feel like he had a higher caliber basketball experience. So obviously nothing against the Highlands, but Big 12 basketball maybe a little bit more competitive.
So, recruiting, is it exciting that all of your 2019 class is now official?
Yeah. I mean, this is a product of a lot of hard work by a lot of people over a long period of time. These are guys that we obviously have been recruiting for a long time. Specifically as it relates to Keelan and Caleb, we identified them. I remember seeing those kids come here the summer that Brad was the head coach and coming to an elite camp, and was like, man, these kids are tall, but they cannot play basketball. And it's sad that they're right down the road and they cannot play. And just continue to watch those guys evolve as players and getting to know who they are as people, watching them improve their games. And it's really encouraging that they wanted to be here. Because we want the best kids in the state to put on our uniform if they're good enough to play at this level. And then Avery is somebody else we've been recruiting for a long time. He was actually at that same camp that summer. And we just kind of watched him grow and develop. And then, I've known Marcus for obviously a really long time. His recruitment was a little bit different than theirs, but he came here for an unofficial visit last fall, so he'd been around the program as well. But again, it's a product of the whole staff, the administration, the environment here, that those caliber kids are interested and ultimately decided that this is what they wanted to be. And we're excited about what the future means. So when I sit in the press conference room and people ask me how's recruiting going, I mean, I know what we're doing behind the scenes, and there's things that we can't necessarily talk about, but you feel good about the conversations and the type of people who are being attracted to coming to visit your place, and that's where you got to get them. You got to get them on campus.
How different is that having he's your cousin, right?
Yeah.
Having him sign on to come here.
It's awesome. And what I try to do, I never tried to make it about family.
Right.
And I told him from the moment we thought he was for sure good enough to play here that I did not want him to come here just because he was my cousin. In fact, I told him if he was coming here because he was my cousin, I didn't want him to come because that would set a really bad tone for what this is about. Because he's going to be expected to come in here, and if he doesn't do his job, he's not going to have the opportunities. But if he does, he'll have earned it. He'll work for it. And he had a lot of options. He's recruited by a lot of really good programs, and I think just knowing that I would push him and be able to separate that, but at the same time, he'd have somebody who he knows that truly cares about him as a person away from the court was something that was intriguing to him.
I was looking on Wednesday when the Boone signed it. I think from like 08 to 18, the only kid from that half of the state of Oklahoma to come to OSU was Mitch Solomon, and there have been some pretty good ones. Shake Milton's in the NBA.
Sure.
What does that mean? How important is that to you to sort of open things up there?
I don't know if it can be overstated how important it is when there are kids good enough in this state that we do everything we can to put ourselves in position to have them put on their uniform, letting them know how important they are and how important this experience can be for them. Because I'll give you an example. Kendall Smith, who obviously had a great time here last year, is from Oakland, California, and we played the first Bedlam game. It was our first road game in conference, and I don't know if he really had any idea what it meant.
Yeah.
Not his fault. But a kid growing up here, a kid from Tulsa, the moment he steps here, understands it's a big deal, and it is important. This doesn't it doesn't give you a more wins or losses how the game goes, but it matters. It matters in recruiting. It matters to your fans. It matters to our administrators and enrollment and all that stuff. So, being able to get kids from the state of Oklahoma is priority 1A every single year. And if there's a kid good enough, we're able to recruit them pretty aggressively.
Do you, knowing how much things can change between now and June, do you leave some feelers out there just in case something happens?
I recruit every single day. So, I don't know about feelers. I mean, I don't assume that the job's done until it's done. And when they all show up on campus, we'll go from there. But yeah, I mean, there's a real understanding of things change all the time. The climate of college athletics says that your roster is not going to be the same, no matter what it looks like, no matter how young it is. It's probably not going to stay the same throughout a 4-year period. So, we would be kind of naive to not continue to recruit, to not make sure that if something did happen, that we're not prepared. That's kind of, I don't even know, it's kind of lack of duty or something like that. I mean,
Is that something that you've addressed with your team? Obviously, you've signed more scholarships than if all these kids stay next year, then you have available. Is that something you address with them, or is that something that you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's something we necessarily. Well, I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's really not anything to talk about because I don't know how it's going to happen, how it's going to evolve. Again, I would sit here and tell you a year ago now, there's no way we have 6 freshmen on this team. It's impossible. How? So, and here we are, So, the thing I want to make sure we don't do is wake up one morning in March and have 4 scholarships available again. That was not a fun feeling. I mean, we did the job we needed to do. We got some really good players out of it, but it's uneasy going into the spring, because most of the players sign early. I mean, I would say probably 80% of guys sign at this period here. So now you're picking from a very small group, of which guys at this level, you're talking about even smaller group, and you got coaching turnover and stuff like that. And so, it makes it difficult. So we got to make sure that we're always in position that maybe we have to turn a guy away at the last minute or whatever it is, but never be in position where now you're just like, uh-oh. So it's a good thing that we were prepared. We had contacts and relationships out there that we were able to put together a pretty good class this year for 18, the guys that are freshmen now, and now we feel good about the guys we got in 19. And at the end of the day, if you keep putting good recruiting classes together, your product will get better and you'll have more success.
Is Marcus your first cousin? How's that family?
He's second, but I've known him since he was a little boy. He grew up in North Carolina. We didn't spend a ton of time together. I'm obviously quite a bit older than he is. So when he was born and I was, I guess, 18, I was off to college, kind of living my life, and then being a professional. And so we haven't really been close, but through this process, I've really tried to do 2 things. It was a challenge in recruitment, to be honest, because trying to balance what you think is best for your program or what you think is best for someone who you care about as a family member. And so those conversations weren't always easy or fun, but they were necessary, and I think at the end of the day we both found a really good place.
You're pretty vocal on social media. You interact with the fans almost after every game. You put out something just for the fans. Why is that such an important part of your job?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily important. I think what is important is that people aren't wondering behind the scenes what I think or what it is. I'm pretty candid with you guys. I think that's just who I am as a person. I don't feel like there's a need to, go into a shell and try to hide from reality. I mean, I'm very aware that people want to know what I think or how things are going, and it's okay to be out there a little bit. I don't try to get into. There's a few things I don't get into on there, but as it relates to our team and what I think is going on with them, I got no issues with that.
Do you think that can help in recruiting too? Like it can be used as a tool in recruiting if you're active on social media?
I don't know. I'd have to really study it. I'm very personal with recruiting. I don't necessarily recruit through social media per se. I don't have Snapchat or Instagram or anything like that. So I don't talk to kids on FaceTime and stuff like that. But I'm very hands-on. I mean, you guys talk to any of the guys we've signed in these first 2 classes, they'll tell you I was pretty much in there. I mean, as the I don't want to say lead recruiter because our whole staff does a good job, but I'm very hands-on when it comes to communicating to kids and letting them know clearly. Because the one thing I don't want that kid to ever come in my office and say is, man, you sure sold me a bill of goods, and what you said was going to happen or what you sold me on wasn't the truth. And I've lost recruits because of being very honest and open and candid about what's going to happen. You know, some kids want to be told that they're going to start or play 25 minutes, and you only play the minutes you earn. And I got no problem telling any kid that. I don't care where he's ranked or where he's from. If they want to be a part of this program, there's some things that you got to know coming in the front door.